What's up, YouTube? It's me back for another video for the first time in a while. So on the docket for today, I'm gonna go over this. So a little background. When I was still a Nikon shooter way back in the day, which wasn't that long ago, it was only like, actually I want to say like May of last year, was right around when I was looking for a smaller body to shoot with on the side of my Nikon Z6, which ended up being the Fuji X-E4. But around that time, a rumor dropped on Nikon Rumors about a patent being filed for a small viewfinderless camera with a fully articulating screen. And when I saw it, you know, I was already in the Nikon system. I was like, yes, that is it. That is exactly what I need. And unfortunately, the camera that ended up dropping was the Nikon ZFC, which didn't make sense because it was just a little out of my price range. So ended up going with the Fuji X-E4. Have absolutely no regrets about that decision. Yeah, this camera never came out until it did this summer. And it's really flown under the radar, so I guess I should tell you what it is in case you don't know. This is the Nikon Z30. This camera has been received, and most other YouTubers will tell you that this is a vlogging camera, content creation camera for beginners trying to upgrade from their phones. But when I saw this, that's not what I thought. That's not what came to my mind. What came to my mind was a street shooter that is small, subtle, but makes a lot of sense ergonomically. As a video maker, having a fully articulating screen, separate video switch to go from photo to video, tally light, which isn't gonna go on because I don't have an SD card in, but there's tally light right there. That's all super useful for me as well. Not enjoying the ergonomics on my Fuji X Pro 2 recently, and I sold the X-E4 a while back. So yeah, I just really want something with more grip, and the ergonomics of this camera over time they don't make sense to me. I always hit this button. It's a little flimsy, it's awkward to hold. Anywho, I've been looking for something with more grip, and I thought maybe this would be it, so I wanted to test it out. Another thing I did was to kind of customize this a little bit to make it more of a me type camera. I got this little adapter right here. That's the Earth Leica M to Nikon Z adapter, and as you can see, I have my Voigtlander 21mm on here. Obviously this camera doesn't have a viewfinder, so I went ahead and got one of these super cheap little viewfinders on eBay, 28mm, just so that I had something to look through that would more or less give me an idea of what was in frame. I only had it for 3 days. I had it for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So first day of using it was Georgetown, and it was kind of my typical fast-paced, wide-angle, in the middle of a crowd, trying to find the interesting subjects and the good light, and take advantage of those. And yeah, it went well. It was a little weird switching to the Nikon and kind of getting a handle for this, but the ergonomics, like I said, way more sensical on here than they are on the X Pro 2. To me, it comes much more naturally, so I definitely didn't mind it. And you know, I found myself using the articulating screen like this, and then shooting kind of from lower. I found myself doing that a lot actually while I was there. I think I do miss having a flip up screen. These two function buttons I have set to, one of them to zoom 100%, one to zoom 200%, and that's what my function button does here. But I gotta say, it was super easy to use these buttons, and it was smooth. Yeah, took some photos. It was a pretty good day. On Saturday, I decided to take this down to Fredericksburg. I'm working on a video for my recap of the 2022 Fredericksburg street shoot-off, and wanted to test this thing for a video because I needed some extra B-roll that I forgot to get while I was down there the first time. and also shoot it just for stills as well. And this was a good test because, with the X Pro 2 and the XE4 as well, I very rarely switch between stills and video, which reminds me the one thing I haven't talked about with this camera, and that is something that a lot of people will maybe tell you isn't that great, and that's this right here. This is, in my opinion, the best kit lens ever made. This is a pancake 24 to 75 millimeter lens from Nikon. So that's it at 75 millimeters. This is the Fuji 18-55. So this is like the equivalent. And this is small. When you open this up, this is each one at 70, or I think this is 85. This is 75 millimeters. It was a good test. Got some video clips and got some good photos as well. I was pretty happy with a lot of the photos I took there. Great shooting. Met up with Aaron Cabito, who is a great street photographer from Fredericksburg, and ended up winning the street shoot off this year. He's super talented, and it was really cool to get to walk around with him and kind of see his perspective. And that brings us to yesterday, which was Sunday. I met up with my friends Eric and Subash, who have both been on the channel before, and we had a few hours to go out and shoot. It was perfect weather, like 60 degrees and sunny. Perfect weather, perfect conditions, and I think because of that and the holiday weekend this weekend, we had a pretty wide array of subjects, we'll say. So, shot down in the mall for just hours and hours, and to be honest, yesterday, I finally reached a point where I didn't use this the entire time. I went back to my X Pro. While this is a comfier camera, I did find myself missing just the rhythm that I have with the X Pro 2. Not to say that I prefer that to this, it's just that I was so in the zone that I wanted something that I was really used to. But I did shoot on this as well. I shot on this with both this lens, and I also used this a little bit more for some stuff. And I gotta say, like, the photos I got with this lens, perfect. It really just does the job so well. The Nikon autofocus is phenomenal. Overall, at the end of the weekend, what are my thoughts on this camera? My thoughts are, it's great. I don't know why nobody takes this seriously. I think maybe because it's an APS-C Nikon, and back in the DSLR days, the Nikon APS-C cameras definitely felt like an afterthought. But in terms of the image quality, the APS-C cameras are not as far behind the full frame cameras as was the case with the DSLRs. The thing is, this is essentially a Nikon ZFC on the insides. And the Nikon ZFC, a lot of people will tell you, is a great stills camera, and this is a great video camera. Obviously this has video stuff attached to it that the ZFC doesn't, but why would that make this less of a stills camera than the ZFC? It doesn't make sense to me. My thought is, it's because of trendiness. People love to hate on this because they view it as amateur or whatever, but the Nikon ZFC, which looks nice, they like to like, which is dumb, because it's the same sensor, it's the same everything, pretty much, except for the body. And if you want a viewfinder, instead of paying the extra $300 for the ZFC, you'd pay $20 for this and stick a 28 prime on there. All of this to say, people love to hate Nikon because it's funny. And like, I'm not gonna say it's not funny, but for $800, you can get this camera body and this lens. To me, if you're looking for a cheap, lightweight shooter that is comfortable, that is efficient and high quality, that has good video specs, if you're a hybrid shooter, or even if you're a still shooter that does video on the side sometimes, like I am, I really think you should look at this. I think there's a lot of potential in this camera system. Highlight weighted priority mode is huge, and Fuji does not have it, even in their new cameras. Why, Fuji? Why? At the very least, don't write it off. You know, stop saying it's a step up from an iPhone. This is way more than a step up from an iPhone. This is a camera that any serious street shooter could use. You don't have to use a Leica or a Fuji. You can use this. I didn't go too in depth on like specs or anything because it doesn't matter. It's a new camera. It came out in 2022. The specs are fine. You know that. A lot of people liked my review of this camera. Not even a comparison between these. This is a much better camera. In summation, am I going to upgrade to the Nikon Z30? Upgrade, I don't really know if it's an upgrade from the X Pro 2. And the answer is no. And it's not because I don't like this camera. I think in a lot of ways, this does tick more boxes for me than the X Pro 2 right now. Especially ergonomically, just functionally, I feel like I can take pictures with this that I'm missing on my X Pro 2. But the one thing that I'm just not quite past is film simulations and just the colors and the look of my Fuji sensor. I like this, but I just am not quite ready to give that up yet. So I think I'm gonna do a trade for a different Fuji camera, which we'll talk about later. I have to say, I'm really impressed with this camera. I'm really impressed with everything it can do, and while it might not be for me right at this moment, if I had gone back in time, if this camera came out before I bought my XE4, when that patent first got released, if this camera had been the one to come out instead of the ZFC, I think I would have bought it, and I don't think I ever would have switched to Fuji. I think I would have been really happy with this. But that didn't happen, so yeah, I mean, that's that. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back in another video.